This week we've got Girli on the podcast.
I think everyone is a victim of the patriarchy. Going to gay clubs that are for gay men. Every gay club ever.
Right, yeah. You are getting shit done and we are just out here thinking with our dicks.
Spiraling, literally. You're almost bonded together by like the trauma but also the joy of your queer experience.
Do you think that straight men are also a victim of the patriarchy sometimes? Welcome back. We missed you on our summer break. Thanks for having us on. It's a Gay and a Non-Gay.
Yes.
I'm James Barr. I'm gay. He's Dan Hudson. He's non-gay.
Yes, we're going to catch up with what's been going on over the last few weeks in next week's episode. But this week we've got Girli on the podcast.
Yes, singer Girli. We love her. We're going to be chatting about the matriarchy, the Lesbian Renaissance. We're going to chat about Girli's music.
So let's get into it and we'll see you next week. But for now, here's Girli. All right, hello.
Oh my God, so I just trapped Girli with Dan for like half an hour because I was late off of an international flight. Why do I sound like a twat? I've wanted to meet you for so long. It's amazing to finally have you on a Gay and a Non-Gay.
Thank you so much for having me.
How was your Pride?
It was great. It was really fun. I kind of ended up being on tour for half of June, so that was like just like Pride vibes. And then I missed London Pride because me and my girlfriend were on holiday, but we were having our own kind of Pride.
Right, that's the thing with Pride, right? Doesn't matter where you are, you're still Pride.
You're still Pride.
Yeah.
Pride
Where did you both go?
We were in Crete.
Nice.
You know, closer to Lesbos, closer to Sappho, you know, celebrating Pride, close to the home of lesbians.
Right, is Lesbos actually a thing?
It's an island, yeah. So Sappho, the Greek poet who is one of the earliest forms of like sapphic, you know, queer femme like literature, was from the island of Lesbos. So that's why the word lesbian exists.
Amazing.
And that's why the word sapphic exists. I feel like I just have to go at some point.
I think you do, yeah.
I'm sure there is like a museum.
Is
or
there
something
not a
about
pilgrimage?
Sappho.
See, I'm not a queer woman, so I need to know everything.
There must be a pilgrimage for queer women
There
to
has to
Lesbos.
be. Why not?
Right? I found on TikTok, it popped up this like cruise for queer women. And I think this specific cruise is more angled towards like older queer women. So there are a lot of like, in these videos, there are a lot of sort of like women in their 50s, 60s, which was so adorable. And they're on this, you know, gay cruise, they're just living it up. And I was like, I wonder if that goes to Lesbos. I wonder if there's a Greek islands tour for that cruise. And it's like the final destination is Lesbos.
There's gay cruises too, but they just seem very sex focused.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather be on the lesbian one.
For sure, yeah.
At the moment.
I mean, everyone's talking about the Lesbian Renaissance happening at the moment in pop culture, but just in London as well, like there's so many amazing events, and not just like clubbing events, but also like sober, like day events, like little craft markets and dance things, you know, for like queer women. And I'm like, imagine if one of those was on a cruise. That would be so fun.
I speak as a gay man. I just think queer women are doing it right, but we've definitely talked about the differences between like gay queer men and queer women on the podcast before, and the toxicity that used to exist between gay men and lesbians, and what we can do to like reduce that. Do you think that's still burning, or do you feel like we're making strides there?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely think there is like a division. I've definitely experienced going to gay clubs that are more, you know, for gay men. Every gay club ever. Right, yeah. You know, literally. And feeling like kind of almost muscled out of the space a bit. Is muscled the right?
That's a great word.
Muscled, you know, when people are jostled out of the space. There's a lot of like spaces for queer women popping up, I guess, in response to the fact that a lot of existing gay bars tend to be more male friendly. But it would be great to see more also just like queer inclusive spaces, kind of just for everyone, you know?
Yeah. It would be so nice to be invited to like a gay pottery class. Rather than a 100% that exists. Orgy right. Yeah. Like it would just be so refreshing for someone to just be like,
bareback sauna, right? Techno rave.
Exactly. Yeah. It would just be so different.
It would be cute.
Like we're doing photography class with a dark room, but not the kind you think.
Not that dark room.
Right. That would be so refreshing. So I am very jealous of queer women and the Les Renaissance.
Yeah, Les Renaissance.
As I'm going to coin it.
I do sort of get what you're talking about with what's going on in music. Is that what we're referring to?
Yeah, I've seen it in like multiple articles online and posts. People are saying like the term lesbian renaissance. I think it's with music, like if you see how huge like Renee Rapp and Chapel Roan are kind of at the moment, and then also films like Love Lies Bleeding was huge this summer, and Drive Away Dolls, like a lot of kind of like movies around queer female characters.
What's prompted that then?
I think what's prompted that, eh? Do you know what? I actually saw my friend wrote a really interesting article about this. Actually, she said it's not that these things are sort of just happening. It's more that, you know, these events, these people, these movies have always been there, but there's just more of a platform. They've been given more of a mainstream platform now. Queer artists, queer films, queer events have always been around, but they've just been more underground. So now, you know.
But it's interesting, like from my perspective, I preferred watching I Kissed a Girl to I Kissed a Boy.
Oh, that's what I was going to say as well, TV show. Really? Yeah. I mean, I didn't actually watch I Kissed a Boy.
Your song is in it. No,
my song, it was in I Kissed a Girl,
right,
yeah. Oh my God. And I didn't know. Sometimes when you get like a TV sync, you don't find out until you actually just see it on telly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No way.
And which is quite funny because then I posted being like, oh my God, like, what a surprise, my song's on I Kissed a Girl. And all the comments were like, I can't believe they didn't pay you, la. And I was like, no, they did, but it was just a surprise. Yeah, everyone interpreted that as like, oh, so they just ripped you off. I was like, no, they didn't. Like I Kissed a Girl, well, I don't know what were the differences between I Kissed a Boy and...
It's not like the show was different. It's more just like I feel different watching gay men falling in love versus queer women falling in love.
Really?
I guess like for me, it's more... So I don't know if that's how straight people feel when they watch I Kissed a Boy.
Right.
Like, do they have the same... Like, I'm looking at it as a complete outsider, so I can just enjoy it as a narrative journey.
Okay,
in a different way.
Yeah, that's really fascinating,
It's
actually.
less triggering, in a way.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, does that make any sense?
You're watching I Kissed a Boy, you're like, oh, it's too personal.
This is too triggering.
Too personal.
Why were you... I haven't seen either of them. Why were you doing the quote marks for
what?
Falling in love?
Oh
my God, yeah.
I think that was just me. Thanks for calling that out, Dan.
Well,
I think that was just me drawing on personal trauma.
Right, okay.
Oh, right,
and
yeah.
my
Falling
own feelings,
in love.
falling in love, like whatever. I think that was a personal thing rather than something to do with the show.
Shall we unpack?
We can leave it.
We can leave it.
But how's your love life? You've been going out with your girlfriend for
for about 2 years.
Amazing.
It's really fun. She's a musician as well, so we just write
Great.
songs about each other all the time, and it's just very romantic.
Because your album is it's very hot mess figuring things out. So
oh my God, yeah, no, it is. Oh my gosh. So I wrote this album just before we started dating, and then just when it kind of like bled into when we just started dating. She's just the best. She's so understanding. I'm like, oh, Mum, I'm just going to release this album that's full of like half the songs are about my ex, half the songs are about you. Is that cool? And she's like, yeah, it's fine. Like,
I love the lyric in the
yeah.
song Tokyo about asking for a reimbursement for a flight.
Yeah.
Is that a real invoice that was sent?
It's not, but it's, yeah, I mean, I definitely, yeah, what's the lyric? Take your time, you should reimburse my flights. I mean, it's basically me saying, you know, if I'm going to travel all this way to try and get you to get back with me and you reject me, then pay for my flight. It's not real.
Yeah.
So this song was me imagining doing that.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to.
Spiraling.
Yeah.
Literally. Because my ex, you know, we'd broken up and she was like, right, I'm just going to go find myself in Asia and get away from you.
Wow.
And I was like, fair enough. Like, different people handle heartbreak differently. But, you know, I stayed in the UK and got on with my life. And, yeah, I was like, oh, my God, I bet she's out there having so much fun. I wish I could just get on a flight and you know, in a romantic way, like, be like, take me back. But that would be really inappropriate and kind of stalking, so I'm not going to do that, but I'll just write a song about it.
Love it. It's the Mariah Carey waste of time clause, isn't it?
Oh my God,
that's how I feel about love.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm just like, why are we doing? And there's a lyric that really speaks to me, actually. Why would I want to be with anyone else? I'm getting to know myself in Be With Me, right?
Yes.
I love that.
Thank
That's
you.
definitely who I am right now.
Yeah, I love
song
that.
Fully speaks to me. Just that feeling of like needing to know yourself before you can be with anyone else. I sound like RuPaul, but a cheap version.
I've been watching Drag Race for so many years, and I remember I used to hear that, you know, saying every time and think, yeah, I don't really know what that means. And I think I only realized, you know, in the last year what that actually does mean. It's like, if you can't have a sort of like endless pool of love for yourself, then you're going to take all of that insecurity and the self-hatred into a relationship and project it onto them kind of thing.
I often feel that it's quite scary, queer relationships, because we're all so messed up. And all of our shame and trauma is all compacting inwardly like a tornado. How do we navigate that?
Well, I wrote a song about this actually on the album called Nothing Hurts Like a Girl.
Oh, I love that one too.
Yeah,
is that what this is about?
It's about like, you know, I'm bisexual, although increasingly my friends are like, no, you're a lesbian. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm an Austin Butler away from being a lesbian, but that's the 1% bisexual that still exists in me, because he would get it. But I think, yeah, I mean, that song was literally about how my first breakup with a woman, like my first queer breakup, was so much heavier and more intense than my, you know, breakups before, because there's just, you're almost bonded together by like the trauma, but also the joy of like a queer experience. But then also there's just like so much emotion. It's like so joyful and then also so heavy at the same time.
You seem to have found your way out of that.
Yes.
What's your advice?
For me, I realized I had been drawn to people who were sort of too like myself, like too fiery. Like I'm a very like neurotic, kind of stressy, but like that just makes me sound such a nightmare to be around. But I'm like quite a like sort of neurotic, like can be quite stressy, like very passionate, very fiery, very ambitious person. And my current girlfriend is the first person I've dated who is very calm, very chill, just very patient, and like being with someone like that has just sort of like leveled me out as well, you know. And I feel like maybe you're my maybe that's who you are, Dan.
Maybe, yeah, probably. Well, probably.
I don't think he's chill underneath though, but he definitely has that like vibe a lot of the time.
Oh,
would you say?
That.
Yeah. I mean,
We hate each other.
Love that.
no, I just can't deal with it right now. I'm far too jet lagged.
the album's been out a couple of months now.
Yes.
Are you pleased with the reaction? And you've been touring as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was really happy that it came out, and then I went on like a month and a half tour, which was the best thing to do. A lot of artists, myself included, have this like post-release dip.
Yeah.
Like post-release depression in a way.
Right,
That's what it's called in the industry, where it's like you've been building up to put something out for so long, and this isn't just musicians, like anyone who's working on a project.
Yeah,
and it happens and it comes out, and then it's like, oh my god, what now? What now? And I was really glad that I just got to go straight into touring and play the shows and play the songs and kind of have that like human interaction. That was really special. One of the biggest mindfucks is like social media when you're releasing music. Is that thing of like, is it connecting? Are people liking it? I don't know. And you're looking at the numbers and it's just like, that stuff's not, it is real, but it's also not real. The thing that matters is the human connection and how songs affect people in that way. And so seeing that on tour was amazing.
Also, not everything has to be like an instant hit. Like all the best music in the world
oh my
is
God,
a grower.
Is a grower, yeah. And that for me, I mean, you know, for me, I've always been interested in having like a long career in music. For me, I've always said, well, you know, if at some moment like a song randomly goes bananas and I'm like number one, I'm not going to be like, I don't want this. But at the same time, like for me, I just want to be able to play music and travel and play shows for a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm really grateful that my career has been like that. It's been more of a slow burner, but I've got to a point where I have so many really dedicated fans, and, you know, each time I go on tour, like the venues are like double the size they were before, and that's sort of like, you wouldn't think that would happen. Well, I mean, I say that, I'm so like, you know, the way you look at yourself and you're always like, you wouldn't think that would happen but actually I had a really big song a few years ago,
so
More Than Friends, so that was like a
happen.
moment. But for me, I'm just happy to have the album out and have it like doing its thing.
Your music, it talks about the patriarchy a lot, and I'm here for that. Do you think that straight men are also, like Dan here, a victim of the patriarchy sometimes?
Oh my God, absolutely. I think everyone is a victim of the patriarchy. Cis-het men are, you know, big victims of it in the sense that like the pressure it puts on you to have no emotion, to like be strong, and like all of these like really damaging stereotypes of the idea of, you know, men and masculinity. And I think I think there's so much damage.
I think we have like generational trauma that can be passed
Yeah.
on.
Oh,
But
for
I
sure,
do think
yeah.
you're right. I think it is learnt behavior.
It's like behavior for
Yeah.
sure, because you know, like when people pop out the womb, like you're just a sack of bones and some flesh, and then we put gender roles, we put the misogyny, the homophobia, it's just all like we marinate the baby in all of this
Bullshit.
toxicity. Yeah, so I think everyone's a victim of the patriarchy.
What would a matriarchal system do?
So I think, well, this is interesting because I did this thing where I went around Shoreditch. I tried to pick an area where I was like, where am I going to find straight men? Let me go to Shoreditch. And and I was kind of vox popping. I was asking men on the street, like, would you live in a matriarchy? And a lot of them were like, what is that? And some of them were like, yeah, cool. But then I posted it online, and a lot of the comments were about a matriarchy wouldn't solve anything. Like, that's just the opposite of patriarchy. And I honestly, I think if you were to model a matriarchy on exactly how the patriarchy is, like, and just swap it, that wouldn't be the solution. I think for me, like, the idea of matriarchy is more about, I suppose, honouring women more, queer people more, and minorities more. So it's not just about, like, women, men. I think it's more about people who don't have a voice and who suffer under the current patriarchy. I think, like, giving them more leadership roles, and I mean, just deconstructing. I mean, it's impossible to say what it would look like, because it's like, you know, we're so far from that. But there definitely have been matriarchies that have existed in history.
Lesbos.
Yeah.
Lesbos. It's kind of like, how do you imagine, not that matriarchy is communism, but it's like, how do you imagine like a communist state? It's like, well, it's impossible to, really, because the only examples have been like dictatorships, and, like, you know, like scenarios where it's like, we're going to take this theory and just not do it, kind of thing. So I don't know, like, it's really it's really hard to visualize, but it's more, I'd say matriarchy to me is more of a concept of this like utopia where anyone who's screwed over by the patriarchy can kind of live in this free, empowered state. Everyone's going to be coming to me about the communism thing. I'm like, I'm not politically well versed.
I feel like,
no,
same.
It's a good point, and like, arguably communism has never actually existed.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the concept.
I don't know what you mean.
The theory. Well, I guess the theory of it is that everyone has an equal share in everything, and everything's shared, and it's like, that hasn't actually.
Well, I guess because power corrupts,
exactly.
it always ends up like the Soviet system or whatever.
Right. None of it is like perfect, is it?
No.
Because humans aren't perfect, so
No.
it's never going to be a perfect system. That's my piece on it.
Preach it.
I feel like that wasn't a very strong
that was
moment. I just wanted to mention before we finish that you are wearing a carabiner. So I'm not sure this 1% bisexuality exists. Not that I'm erasing your... Oh my God, I'm erasing your bisexuality.
Erasing!
What is a carabiner?
So the carabiner, I'm wearing it as an earring right now, which... because I found this tiny one, I was like, ee.
It's so cute.
Thank you. The carabiner has a really interesting history, and it's lesbian history, which is that, and I found out exactly what it was.
Oh my God, tell us.
Yeah, so it was that during the war, when a lot of when, you know, women were in jobs and working, a lot of the women who took on the more, I suppose, in quotation marks, masculine or like butch jobs, like the mechanics, and a lot of them were queer and were lesbian, and so, you know, the carabiner was just used to hold keys and tools and whatever, and then it sort of became like a code in a way, and so it was kind of adopted even after that as like, if you have a carabiner, you know, I'm fruity kind of thing, I believe.
Yeah,
I might be getting that wrong. That I saw on Instagram.
No, that's so cool though.
Yeah, but now it's become like a real symbol of you know, queer women.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So my head went to because you were saying about how you like to be green and whatnot. I thought, you're like a cyclist.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's a bike.
Because I was talking about it's a bike look. I was talking about be environmentally friendly by
so
being
cute.
vegan, and then that's cute.
I didn't want to say that.
It's a bike lock. This is a tiny bike.
But they're everywhere, carabiners.
Yeah.
They're
Really?
in every quiz space.
Maybe I just thought
they're being celebrated in like a huge way. I'm
Huge
obsessed
way.
with them. This is why this is why I'm not coming for gay men, but I am. This is why I get so upset because like I don't know what our motive is. It's like a bottle of poppers or something.
Right.
Like, you know, all my friends have like poppers jewelry.
Poppers jewelry.
Right?
What's
like
that?
that's but
no,
that's
no,
like
it's
sex and it's not whereas
yeah.
queer women are going around with these like actually quite useful carabinas
Right.
which you can
It's
use
very
as a bike
useful.
lock.
As a
to
bike
put
lock,
tools
or put
on.
your keys
Like
on
you
it.
are getting
Yeah.
shit done and we are just
Completely.
out here thinking with our dicks and it's
Right.
exhausting.
But you know, there's a lot of amazing history. I mean, obviously there's amazing history for everyone, but what's the language that gay men have?
Polari.
Polari. Like,
Yeah.
that's so fascinating to me. I love
Did
that.
queer women not use Polari?
I'm sure they did, and everyone's going to be coming for me being like, you don't know about...
Well, everyone's coming for me anyway, so I'll pull you down with
Lesbari.
me. But I'm pretty sure most of that language even then was like, look at that hot guy. I think
Right.
it was a lot to
Oh,
do
right,
with
yeah,
like, it still was quite a
This
sexualization.
Beautiful language. It's like, how, what are you packing? Like,
Yeah,
that's what
let
they
me
were
quickly
saying.
look. It was
Yeah.
like,
Oh my god.
Polari dictionary.
Polari
I'm sure it
dick.
was like Uvada deer or whatever.
I thought you were just typing in Polari dick. Like how to say dick
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Polari.
yeah.
Polari dick.
Polari dictionary.
What was it? Like how
So
was...
actually, there's a lot of words that I think were used then that we now use, like bitch or
Oh my god, wow.
cottage was a public toilet used for sex. Have you
Oh
heard
my God,
cottaging before?
cottaging.
Have you heard of cottaging?
I didn't know that.
Naff, obviously awful. A woman was called a Palone.
Oh,
I don't know why.
A Palone.
Why Palone?
Palone sounds like Bugsy Malone.
It does.
Gangster.
But a lot of it is like
TBH is
TBH.
to be had.
to be had.
To be had
Right.
instead of to
That
be
could get
honest.
confusing in this.
As in like,
modern-
oh, he's TBH.
He's TBH. He's to be had.
That's so horrid.
That's so weird. Yeah.
But I guess it's just like because men are toxic and they're also like we've discussed like have that patriarchy thing, and I'm not at all shaming any of the queer sex stuff that I was mentioning.
No,
like,
of course,
I'm very
no, it's
proud.
like-
I'm a very sexual person, but
yeah,
I just
it's
wish
amazing.
we had a carabiner.
I think it makes total sense that those were some of the first and kind of long-standing spaces were sexual because it was fundamentally it was like where do we go to
Yeah.
be intimate with each other
Mhm.
when we can't do that in our homes or out in the street or whatever. But now you know it's amazing to see there's a lot more. Do you want to go and knit with another gay person? You know.
Yes, I do.
You want to crochet?
Oh
yeah.
my god, can we do that?
Yeah.
I don't want to.
I don't wanna crochet.
I can't. Oh, crochet's all right. Actually, that's
Crochet's
quite
alright.
fun. But
Crochet's
I can't.
cute.
I can't knit or sew or anything like that. I can't be.
Yeah.
Can't be doing that.
Can't be doing that.
Croquet.
Nah, none of
Croquet's
that.
fun.
Croquet?
It's actually really fun.
Wait, croquet or
Oh,
crochet?
sorry, I've got
Croquet is knitting.
Croquet? No,
You're talking of sorry.
crochet.
You're talking of crochet. Yeah, I don't want to do that. But croquet.
Croquet.
Like the lawn game.
The lawn
That's-
game.
I don't
Oh,
know why
that's
I
way
thought that
better.
lesbians were into that, but like that's.
I'm sure there's a gay.
There's probably
there's
a reason why
lesbian
you thought
croquet,
that.
Yeah. Find any niche activity, there will be a lesbian group.
So before you go, please tell us what you're working on next. Are you doing new music at the minute and just seeing where it all lands?
Yes, well, I think I'm sort of cooking up a little deluxe version of the Matriarchy
Cool.
album. Maybe some offcuts, some songs that didn't make the original track list, and then I'm going to be going on tour again in the US in November.
Congrats on all of that. It's
Times.
amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for having
excited to
me.
watch the rest of your career. It's going to be really great.
Thank you. Bless you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming in. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Thank you.